Well, I think there's a variety of jobs that live within the analytics field. There's everything from people who are more data engineers that have the early part of really the entire supply chain associated with analytics, where they're trying to get data into the right form, pull the right data together, make sure it's clean, transform it in the ways that are necessary to prepare it for analytics and to feed into analytic processes. Then you have data analysts who oftentimes are more responsible for business intelligence types questions where they're looking back in time to understand what happened and explain why it may have happened. And then you move further along into more sophisticated kinds of analytics and roles associated with that, which are more predictive analytics kinds of work, where they're helping to not speak to what happened, but rather to speak to what should happen or what could happen. And that's everything from somebody that's more of a statistician to somebody that's a true data scientist that's building algorithms and using machine learning and natural language processing and really trying to take advantage of artificial intelligence and the capabilities there to automate processes and to, in some cases, replace human interaction as part of what is done in a natural business process or organization's process. You know, it's interesting. I think sometimes students think, hey, if I move into analytics, I'm going to be off in the corner working on my own. I'm not going to be really interacting with others, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Much of what that work is it's really about um, agile approaches of developing applications or building dashboards and things like that. And you're going to end up interacting with people from IT, people from the business, other analytics professionals. So it's very much interactive. It's very much a team sport. Another misconception is there's no creativity involved, with analytics. And again, that couldn't be further from the truth. It's a creative way of solving problems, leveraging data, leveraging some of the tools that are available to you, leveraging the technologies that are available today. And so you have opportunities to exhibit creativity through the process as well. So those are a couple that come up sometimes. It is a very exciting field, one that continues to grow, and it's very dynamic in terms of how the tools are changing. And I think it's one of those, if you love to learn and you're very curious, you'll be successful at. I think it offers very solid long-term career prospects, and my experience alone is probably a good indication of that. I've been in the field for well over 30 years, and I've only seen growth and expansion of the roles, the type of problems that analytics are applied to, and the embedment in organizations and what their expectations are around it. So what you see is growth that's naturally occurring as there's more and more data out in the world as a result of people interacting digitally with companies and through sites like Facebook and so on. But it's just an explosion of data and the need to harness that data to drive decision making, to drive processes in organizations, and ultimately to help either grow revenue or reduce costs. Those expectations have only skyrocketed, which means there's even more and more demand for analytics professionals across that entire spectrum, from data engineers to data analysts to predictive analytics professionals to data scientists. You know, analytics has always been about or centered around decision making and improving decision making. And in the past, it was much more about simply helping to understand what happened and learning from the history of what happened so that we could make better decisions going forward. Um, and that is still valuable, but increasingly what analytics professionals are doing is they're helping companies understand what could happen in the future and what should happen in the future through more predictive kinds of analytics. So that can be things like, a machine in a production process and knowing when it might reach a point where it could have failure or it needs maintenance, as opposed to just letting it fail. So there can be preventive maintenance that's done so that you don't lose any time in that production process. There's no downtime. It can be helping with a consumer's experience when they come onto the website, and based on what you know about that consumer and what you see and understand about them, to personalize the interaction with them such that it's much more meaningful to them and what they'd be interested in at a given point in time. So you can see it helping both in the back end of companies and their supply chains and the processes that exist in the back end, where they're automating those processes that might have been done in the past through people and slower processes, to really improving the experiences that people have on the front end with the company. Clearly the combination of the technical skills, whether that's more just quantitative background, statistics, analytics, together with computer science and the ability to code and to work with data and to manipulate data through code. And then the third being just an understanding of the business. Those things together are really critical for somebody in the role. But if you go beyond that, what becomes really critical in determining who's going to be successful in the field are things like curiosity and the desire to learn. Because this is a space in which things are constantly changing. The tool set that you work with is evolving. And as a result of that, you've got to be willing to really continue to advance your skills and seek to get better and better through your understanding of the business as well and different business processes. So you have to have that curiosity, that innate curiosity, to pursue an understanding of a decision maybe that you're going to help support, and how people go about making that decision, and how you can use data and analytics to make that better going forward. Empathy is important. When I talk about helping with those decision processes, empathy is really important. Your ability to kind of put yourself in the shoes of the person or people that have to run that process or make that decision, and how can you work with data and analytics to make it better and more meaningful to them. And then your ability to interact and communicate with others. You have to be effective at telling the story of what you're trying to do. It's not just about being brilliant in developing an algorithm or a statistical model or in conducting an analysis or building a dashboard. You have to be able to tell a story around it and communicate it effectively, and make sure that your outputs communicate something effectively as well.